going on, man? I just got some bad news. That's what took me so long to get started. Got a lot going on down here in Florida, man. As you see that thumbnail I put on there, it's from RV City. It opened up yesterday. And if you're not familiar with RV City, 3-4 days ahead of the Florida-Georgia game, they have this parking area where they let RVs come in. And it's a big thing where they all park. And you have to get there early because if you don't, you're not going to be able to get in there. And they call this game the largest outdoor cocktail party. They don't call it that anymore because of political reasons, political correctness, if you will. But nothing has changed. It's one big party from the time RV City opens until the Sunday after the game. And it doesn't matter if you're a Gator or if you're a Bulldog. If you're down at RV City partying, it's open arms with everybody. If you want to have a good time, load up and come down to the Florida-Georgia game. You're going to have a great time. You're going to eat some good food. And if you like drinking and having spirits and everything else, it's also a good time to do all of that. But if you want to just meet some good people, make some business connections, and if you're a hustler and want to make some money, come on down to Jacksonville this week to the Florida-Georgia game. Looking forward to it. Now, Florida, they come in with a bunch of distractions. The major distraction is they fired their head coach last week after winning the game, by the way. They beat Mississippi State, and they fired the coach the next day. A lot of people unhappy with Napier because his offense struggled a little bit, but he's the one that's calling the plays. And they wanted him to stop calling the plays and give those duties to somebody else. He didn't want to do that. And given that he hasn't won a whole lot of games, he's like one game under 500 for his whole time in Florida. And people are unhappy with him, so they decided to pull the plug on him. But therein lies the problem. It may seem that it's a problem more so for Florida, but maybe not. If you notice with some of the other things that's going on, like UCLA, for example, they fired Deshaun Foster, elevate the offensive coordinator, and all of a sudden, this team looks brand new. You don't know what they're going to do, but didn't know what they were going to do when you bring in a new guy. All of a sudden, it infuses energy into the team, and they win 3 straight games. Now, last week, they got blown away by Indiana. Indiana's for real. You can't just come in there on a wave of emotion and beat one of the top teams in the country, and they find it out if they didn't already know. But when you start talking about Florida, they don't need much motivation to get up for Georgia. And it doesn't matter if Georgia won 50 games in a row. Florida's going to come into that game 9 times out of 10 thinking they can win it. Whether that's true or not, they'll find out. But the last 7, 8, 9 years, Florida hasn't won very much. And they've been blown out a lot of the times because they've been struggling, and Georgia has been at the apex of their program over the last 40, 50 years. But last year, they had Georgia beat. The only reason Florida lost that game is because the quarterback, DJ Lagway, got hurt and wasn't able to finish. If that man was able to finish that game, they would have knocked off Georgia. Well, lo and behold, Lagway is back, and right now he's healthy. And the question is, since Napier was calling the plays, what kind of attack will the Gators have for the Bulldogs? And that's what Georgia doesn't know. And just like UCLA, when they fired their coach, and just like Memphis and UAB and all these other guys that have these sudden coaches changes, you don't know what to expect. And given the uncertainty of that situation and the motivation that Florida already has to beat a Georgia, because they feel like they're a better program than Georgia, well, that all depends on who you talk to. Going back and forth over the years, I've seen massive win streaks on both sides, so I'll go deep into that later. But I think that Florida has the advantage. However, a new distraction has surfaced with Lagway. Turns out he's got a little brother, and his little brother is a defensive back, and he finally got his first big school offer, and he's only a 10th grader, but it just happened to be from Texas A&M. If you don't know, Lagway is from the Texas A&M area, someplace called Willis, which is not far from College Station. And he posted some kind of post congratulating his brother going to Texas A&M or getting the offer from Texas A&M, and that for whatever reason got the Florida fan base riled up. They all riled up because with Napier being gone now, Texas A&M may have the money to lure Lagway over to the Aggies. He's already from there. Only reason he really went to Florida because he got a good NIL deal. Now with Texas A&M willing to pay, they'll be willing to bring him down and bring him back home. Now, I don't know how much time Marcel Reed has left, but if you got those two guys on the same team, hey, you might have something there. JC, how you doing, man? Gabriel Dumlio, how you doing? Break on. The Florida fans are worried that Lagway might just bolt. But I wouldn't be too worried about that if I was the Gator fans, because so what if he bolts? You got deep pockets in Gainesville. The question is, are you willing to spend it like a Texas A&M or a Texas Tech to bring really good players into your program? And be honest with you, until the NCAA puts a real cap on the limitations on what a player can make, which I don't think they can do, Florida's got the money to pay. So they're going to just have to dig into their pockets and pay and just swallow that. And that's one way Florida's going to be able to compete. But even if Lagway left, I'm sure you can find somebody. There's enough talent around here in Florida that you can find a quarterback, and especially the style of play that you want. But given that they're going to have a new coach, depending on who it is, he's probably going to bring his own players with him anyway. Everybody's throwing around Lane Kiffin's name like he's the only coach available. He'd be a damn fool to me if he leaves Oxford. Same thing with Signetti leaving Indiana. Why would you leave a program that you built to go get in somebody else's pressure pot? Don't make sense. So I'd really be surprised if Kiffin came to Florida. John Gruden might be the better choice over that. Now, this guy here, only question with him is can he recruit? Kind of like Belichick. But you see, and if nobody's paying attention, that North Carolina is actually starting to play a whole lot better than what they were before. Took them a while, but they ain't the same as they were at the beginning of the year. But that's the beauty of football. You only get one shot. Not like basketball, you take 90% of the year before you get your legs under, go to a tournament to qualify for the postseason, and then all the other stuff is all forgotten. Everything in football counts, just like life. But basketball, baseball, you got 1,000 ways to bounce back. And I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. But I say all this to say that what the Florida fans are so worried about, calling this a distraction, is not going to be much of a distraction, as far as I'm concerned, when the game kicks off Saturday at 3:30. Hopefully the weather stays holds out. And like I say, it's going to be a great big party, people everywhere. And if you got to do some legal hustles, come on down here and make you some money, man, because it's going to be out there all weekend. All right, now, the other thing about the SEC, Greg Sankey, he's on a warpath right now about the new law that's supposed to take place in the SEC where players and staff members of schools can now vote on professional sports. That is a big deal because, as you know, it's with the NIL money out there, these guys got money. Just like the pro athletes, they're going to be betting they've been betting. They just can't bet on college sports and you can't get caught betting. But now, starting November 1st, all that pro sports scrutiny goes out of the window. So what Sankey is trying to do is get the NCAA to rescind that because he realized the pending problems that comes with that. And if you don't know what I mean by that, if you have been under a rock the last 4 or 5 days, this big betting scandal that's going on now with the NBA, they got Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier, the player. They all jammed up behind that. And this new law comes on the heels of all of that. And Sankey realizes the major problems involved with that. And I don't think he's going to win in the end on that. But he's really saying that we're going full speed ahead in the wrong direction. And I think he's got a point because take these young guys, go from zero to a whole lot seemingly overnight, and they got all this excess money to just throw around. Competition comes in many forms, and betting is one way to compete with other people. And with this money flowing around, a whole bunch of these college guys are going to be betting openly. Now, like I said, you still cannot vote on college sports. They can anyway. And who's to say that they won't get somebody else to play for them? So it's a lot of different ways that this thing can go off the rails. And Sankey realizes that. And if you have the pro sports players, they just a couple of years older than the college players. If they can't handle it, how you expect the college players to handle it? There's no way that it's going to happen. All right. Corey B says, why Chauncey Billups out here setting up poker games with all the money he's making? Well, I don't know in particular about Billups and how he's tied up into this. But from what I understand, and from hearing people talk and knowing some professional athletes or former ex-athletes, they have these games that usually be with the players, a little inside thing. All of a sudden, somebody brings somebody to the game and uninvited, and then they might play with them a while and get used to them, and they get to playing with them, and then you don't even know who you're playing with or who they're connected to. So the point is, even though it may start out harmless, something between just the players or the members of the team, when they bring in their friends and they don't know what their friends are into, it can lead to connections that they had no idea what's going on. So you can mislead or lead your teammates into a bad situation because you don't even know the people you're dealing with. Real easy to do, and evidently it occurs a lot. And for what I understand, if these guys have deep gambling debts, they have to find ways to pay these debts off. And one of the ways to do that is to introduce them into games that they can pretty much be crooked with. I don't know if I'm making any sense with that, but there's a lot of different ways for these guys to fall into traps that they have no idea what's going on. And that's just my understanding from where it's explained to me. But no, it wouldn't make sense on the surface why a guy like Billups and any other player in the NBA to get involved with that. But to them, it's just a competition thing. They're not even thinking long term into those kind of situations. These kind of things just happen and don't really know how it happens. But you're right. Why would you get involved with? Why gamble at all? It's just like these guys out here doing illegal activities. Say you do one illegal activity and you make a whole lot of money. The smart thing to do would be to leave that alone. But no. The average person, they go farther than that. They say, well, I made money this easy this time. Let me do it again. And then you start to get addicted to making that easy money. Then all of a sudden you get popped. And now you got a problem. So the human idea of greed or addiction trumps anything that makes common sense, that makes sense at all. And I think that's what happened to these guys. They fall into traps and they don't realize how they got sucked into that trap and they can't get away from it. Competition is hard to overcome if you have no control over it. At least when you're playing a football game, I can't come back and say, let's run it back. You can't run it back. But a card game, you can run back. A dice game, you can run back. You beat me on this bet, so let me bet you on this double or nothing. You lose that, and next thing you know, it snowballs. And that's just the way that kind of thing happens. But no, I would never get involved in nothing like that if I'm making millions of dollars like Billups. I don't even want to know who playing. I don't want to know anything that has anything to do with anything illegal. And that would be my stance. The more money I was to make, the more that idea would take hold. And unfortunately, these guys, they're all down. They all got entourages. And these things go a lot of different ways. People are just preying on these guys a million kind of ways. And unfortunately, you can't avoid all the traps. And this seems to be the case of what's going on now. So what not Billups, but Greg Sankey, he realizing all of this stuff, and he wants to keep the college game clear of as much of these things as possible. But in this day and age, it's not going to happen. The only thing that helps his cause, you don't have the proliferation of gambling ads and messages in college stadiums like you do in pro stadiums because it's outlawed. You can't do it. And that's why the players can't gamble on college games because it's prohibited. But now they can bet on pro sports, and that can go 1,000 different ways. So it's going to be interesting to see what unfolds. But I think what's going on with Billups and all these other players, it's just the tip of the iceberg. And there's going to be some more things that fall between now and the next couple of years. And we'll see how it shakes out. But I just want to come on and talk about Florida and Georgia a little bit. RV City is opened up yesterday. If you don't have a ticket by now, you ain't gonna be able to get in. And the party should be in full bloom. Go by there tonight sometime. We'll go by there and get you a steak or something, man, and party with the Bulldogs and the Gators, man. A good time. Rained a little bit yesterday, but hell, even the rain won't stop the partying down there. Hopefully it's a good game. I mean, went down there a couple of times and they had a few washouts, and it kind of dampens the atmosphere a little bit, but it don't stop it. So come on down to Jacksonville, check out the environment down by the stadium, man. RV City, be a good time. But the game is Saturday at 3:30. Georgia is big favorites, especially with Florida firing their coach. But that might actually work to the Gators' favor. And I'm actually starting to feel a little upset in the air, man. I think Florida's going to show up. I'm not a Gator fan, never cared for them. Only reason I cared anything about them or watched them because we had a couple local guys make it big and went over there. Kept an eye on them then, but I never really excited about the Gators too much. But I think that it's going to be a good game. And I think if Georgia think they're going to come down here and run through Florida, they're going to have a rude awakening, because I think this time, if Lagway is in a position to win the game, I think they're going to pull it out. So we'll see how that goes. All right. Johnson Billups. I asked the question, do you think Florida can overcome these distractions? Most of you say no, well, which is not, I understand that, but I know how these games go. And I've been watching Florida, Georgia since 1980. Very first Florida Georgia game I saw. That's the Lindsey Scott game. When the guy, they had to score and hit Lindsey Scott on a little hook route and spin, and there's nobody there, and off to the races, scored a winning touchdown. Georgia used that to go on and play for a national championship. It was an upset at that time, even though these guys were great rivals. It would have been a major upset because the year before, Florida didn't win a game. So they were trying to come back, and Charlie Pell had them ready to play. And same kind of thing is going to happen this time. I may not pull out the victory like Pell didn't, but it's going to let you know that even though we're struggling, we're coming to play. And I think that's what's going to happen this weekend. But anyway, I got to get up out of here, man. The horn went off. I got to go to work. I appreciate you guys chiming in with me. Like and subscribe. And let's have some breaking news. I'll come back on in the morning. If I get the opportunity to go down to RV City, I'm going to turn the cameras on, man. We're going to party with the Bulldogs and the Gators down at RV City. I think you guys get a kick out of that, just to see the kind of atmosphere that's taking place. Definitely Friday, we get down there and show you what's going on. So anyway, you guys have a great day wherever you are in the world. I'll catch you on the flip side, man. I can't wait till Thursday. I want to see what Jackson looks like after his hamstring injury, and see if Baltimore is going to be the team that makes a miracle run and try to knock the Steelers off the perch in the AFC North. But if they do, Pittsburgh's got nobody else to blame.